a little bit about our technical universities and our experience in master, and my colleague Doringe will hold another presentation about the Master of the Building or Green Buildings. So this is the name of the project that we are involved in right now. And I wanted to talk about the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. We are coming from Eastern Europe. Maybe you've heard about Romania, some of you don't. We are approximately 20 million persons in the whole Romania, and maybe more, I don't know. It's the population held in 2020. Ethnicity and other structure from religion are presented here, and we are coming from Cluj-Napoca. It's not the capital of Romania, it's a student-oriented city. We have in between 80,000 and 100,000 students per year in the city, so it's a very, let's say, young people city. Sorry, can I move this? So we have a Romanian leading hub of technology and innovation and research. Also, a lot of workplace for IT area. It's developed in, let's say, last 10 years. So this is our city. A little bit of cultural center. We have all sorts of French, American, British, Deutsch, Japanese, all kind of different cultures and different type of experience with the British Council and all sorts of companies. Also, we managed to put, let's say, our city on the Europe's map with our festivals. We have all sorts of festivals like Transylvania International Films, Untold Festival, also different kind of jazz in the park festivals and stuff like this. So, student-oriented city. Also, this is the background of our university. We have a state university, a lot of them, because we have this Pabes-Bolyai University, also medicine, pharmacy, and stuff like this. So our historical background is due to 1920 as an industrial college established in Cluj-Napoca. And let's say the last one in 2012, we merged with different universities from different cities in Romania, just to, let's say, be more powerful. As a regional dimension, we have recognition as a highly qualified human researchers provided by North and Western region of Romania. Also, we are oriented to innovation and research. We have a lot of projects with different companies, IT companies, like Evozone, who's our partner in this program as well. Also, a lot of agency of qualities and higher education awards, institution, highly degree, and different sorts of, let's say, projects. Our faculties are in architecture, automations, building services, civil engineering, electrical engineering, electrotechnics, telecommunication and information, industrial engineering, robotics. And also we have in other cities like Baia Mare, we have Faculty of Engineering, Science, and we have other satellites in other cities near Cluj-Napoca, like Alba Iulia, Bistrița, Satu Mare, Zalău. And this is something cultural. This is like Romanian Student Folk Assembly. We have this as a student, let's say, extracurricular activity. Also, as a student organization, We have Ostut, let's say more known Ostut and BEST. These are for the entire university, but we have different organization for each faculties, or more or less different for faculties as well. So this organization helps us a lot to develop, I don't know, workshop, learning activity like this one, and different sorts of actions. Some current, let's say, main action, we have digital education, internationalization, and research development. So we apply to all sorts of projects, and national and international, due to, I don't know, educational one or for research one. It's something that we are very open to do the projects. Also, a little bit of, let's say, key figures. We have full-time students at bachelor and master degree. Also, over 900 academic staff. More or less 700 non-academic staff, different study programs, bachelor and master degree. I will briefly tell you about what we have in other languages than Romanian, if we have them in maybe in English, German, and French, but for different type of, let's say, faculties. So where you can find us, this is our map. So we are, let's say, in this area, whenever is the red subjected. And another big thing here is the consortium that you mentioned before. We are part of this consortium with the Universidad Politehnica. So this consortium is under, let's say, the name of Think Human First. They want, so the stake is just to merge each and every one of them, just for the students to have the same ID card and everything, just to be same curricula, recognition. So if you're going abroad as a student, or if you're going let's say for a semester, just to have fully recognition when you're coming back to your country, because I think this is the main issues for each and every student, right? I think we are restrained in this situation right now. So this is like, let's say, an open-minded consortium just to get it easier for this recognition and ECTS and everything. So basically, if you're traveling abroad, when you're coming back, you don't need to give all the exams that you missed while you were away. Okay, sorry. Different researches, strategies, and also laboratories that we are trying to get bigger, or let's say higher. A little bit of master degrees program and bachelor degrees program. I will briefly present this if you're curious. Maybe I will show you a little bit later. Our students on master and bachelor degree, we are like, let's somehow we have this problem of master degree, like for students to continue their studies in master degree, because a lot of them, I mean, in Romania, are like struggling for the master, because they don't see the uses, like, let's say, on the long term. Also, bachelor programs. So these are the programs that we have in English, French, and in German. So these are our our bachelor degrees programs for all the faculties, and these are our master degree programs, where we have also building services that our colleague Dorin Beu will explain a little bit later, I mean after my presentation. So we have not as long as, like, we don't have many programs in English right now, but we are trying to do the BIM and artificial intelligence master. We are trying to put it together for the next fall, just to start on BIM and AI. So I think that master will be in English, so that's a good thing for the foreign students and to attract other type of students. A little bit of about our civil engineering faculty, because we talked about a lot about the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca. We have all sorts of buildings. Like here, we are not struggling in one building. We are all over the city center in Cluj-Napoca. So, yeah. Also, we have civil engineering, railroads and bridges, urban engineering and regional development, economic engineering, all sorts of economics, land measurements, and also master degrees in structural engineering, transportation, sustainable concrete, geotechnic, green buildings, advanced design of timber and steel structures in another city in Bayamare, and also engineering and management, different project management and real estate evaluation, and also civil engineering. So a lot of civil engineering and a lot of masters. So that's why we have a lot of masters, and I don't think we have enough students to cover all the masters, but we are aiming to another one right now. Okay, and also we have Department of Civil Engineering and Department of Structures and railroads and bridges, as well as land measurements. I will briefly just say two things about the Master of Green Buildings, because I will let my colleague Dorinda to explain more. So the Master of Green Buildings, it's oriented to sustainable construction materials, different advanced building systems, economic and environmental assessment, energy management of green buildings, and also entrepreneurship of sustainable design. Energy efficient and sustainable design, like NZEB, passive houses plus EV. Like he will explain more about this type of NZEB houses, and also the use of advanced computer techniques in different fields with energy efficient and sustainable design. Also, different instruments that we are using for LCA, OpenClick, and all sorts of different technologies. So in this case scenario, we have to develop our case studies for this work package. And from our side, this is the name of the from the bid of the things that we need to, let's say, put out and do the case studies to BIM models of a building structure and the route section, carrying out life cycle analysis like LCSA and different materials and waste materials for buildings and demolition process. So basically from the design part till the demolition process of a building. This is our team. This is a photo from yesterday from Cartagena. We are all here except two college of us. They are still at the hotel doing the presentation for tomorrow. To be very honest. Okay, so I briefly just put on the BIM, let's say the importance of BIM and why would we want to, let's say, go to the digitalization process. It's important to know BIM is not a technology, it's a process. So that's why we will use probably more than one or two sorts for that. I mean, we don't use only Revit or, I don't know, Tekla or Tipe, whatever. They could interact with each other easily. So this is the digitalization process nowadays. We're gonna work in Tekla. tomorrow for the BIM Day. So who wants to get in touch with a little bit of know-how about the Tekla, we are gonna present the let's say the structure in Tekla, and also our colleague here, Blanca, will tell us about the road design and also using another type of program. Okay. So this is something that she's gonna show you tomorrow at the BIM Day for the road industry, for the road part, let's say, and also LCA, because we talked about the process from the design part to the demolition process. We need to find out all sorts of life cycle assessment, also analysis, embedded carbon reduction, and other things that like sustainability, recyclability, and waste management. This is the aim of this case study. So thank you for your attention, and I would like to ask my colleague just to come and present the Master of Degree business. Thank you. If you have any questions, no questions.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So first of all, wake up. Wake up because you're late. What's happened in the real world, we are in a way behind. Yeah, why? LCA, it's used from 10 years in companies trying to do the assessment of the building. EU has lost his patience with buildings. The EU doesn't want now new green building because we have a lot of buildings which exist, which need to be retrofit, and this is a huge problem. As you see here, comfort in interior, it's a problem because, yeah, I don't want to tell you why, but it's still a problem. Yeah, so that's why we are trying to do, and you know, EU has set a bar, 2030 for 100 climate neutral and smart cities. I'm not convinced we'll be there. Maybe you, Norway, will be there, but about my city, at least it's an ambition. But how you can get there with so many buildings, that's what we are trying to solve now. So I'm trying to push here some button, and so there is already assessment system. BREEAM is the first one. It's got more than 20 years, or 30 years of existence. LEED, it's a little bit behind, but still struggling. And even in Romania, we have our own system. So it's Romania Green Building Council. I'm a former president of Romania Green Building Council, so it's a little bit publicity here, but yeah, you'll take it. But the idea is that what is now happening in companies, it's a little bit in front of university. We hate to talk about this topic because usually universities were in the front of the battle. Now we are a little bit behind, but we are struggling to get it there. For instance, Cluj, it's the first city in Europe where we have building tax reduction. We are talking the language of companies. For talking to companies, you need to say why you want to promote green building, what's for them. And well, you start with nice talking about, you know, you need to calculate the LCA, you'll need to do all your project in BIM. But at the beginning, nobody will be very, very friendly with you. But then you'll talk about the advantage. And they got it, the advantage, because in 2012, there was zero building. First, it was, I think, Nokia, when they built a factory in Cluj, they had a LEED assessed building. And then in 2022, we have already 17 because they got the message. For them, it's a problem of survival. Why you want to have it a sustainable building? Because everything is sustainable. When I heard about sustainable concrete, for me, it's so difficult being from the sustainable side because concrete, it's never been a sustainable solution. But we don't have sometimes alternative. It's easy to talk about everything will be wood and wooden, but yeah. So we started, and then now it's a trend. All the buildings need to be green. The problem is it's the public building are again behind. They are supporting the idea, but I cannot tell you there's one single building which is green in Romania or in Cluj. Zero. Nada. Why? Because they don't believe it. And that's one of your problems. How to convince a public authority that they need to do something with their buildings. Because you need comfort in the buildings, but in the other hand, you need to pay attention about what materials are you using inside. And that's a long story for them, and they usually don't get the picture because they just want to be in front when there's a new hospital, a new school, and so on. But do they really believe it? That's our problem. Okay, these are buildings assessed as green buildings. And we started with zero, and in 2019, we have the first BREEAM outstanding building. So it's to be in the 5% of green buildings. That's something, and that's the movement in 2012. In 7 years, in 7 years, we managed to be in the line of outstanding. Of course, with a private building. And the buildings, I will be talking later a little bit about it. Also about, we have this green homes certification for residential homes because it's quite expensive to have an assessment of a green building. So we developed a Romanian system just to promote for developers what is green buildings and what's the advantage. We have the first green school. It's a high school in Cluj. So little by little, but not. In fact, I told you there's no public building. In fact, this is a post-assessment. It has not been created as a green building. The only interest of the municipality was to have renewable sources on it. But let's take this example, which is that BREEAM outstanding. It used to be of an old textile factory. So nothing very posh, nothing very sustainable, but you just keep the structure and you convert a former textile factory where 5,000 women working in a textile factory, converting into an IT industry where there's 1,000 IT high specialists there. So in a way, it's the travel of a country like Romania when you need to convert in 30 years your whole industry from textile industry to IT industry, which is nice to talk, but it's so hard, and it was a long struggle to get it there. But then you need a lot of new category to assess. And one of our category is the materials. People need to pay attention of the materials that they are using. For instance, we are talking about schools and what kind of furniture you have inside the school. Is it a healthy furniture, or it's a palm laminate one which got formaldehyde, which is not very good for your health and so on. So it's a new way of thinking. And when the cost, it's not the only purpose of your project, everything is changed. Because now you have to deal with the problems. What's your CO2 emission of the building? And thinking from the raw material, we are in Cartagena, and here is a lot of mining, from mining to the product, and then think that whatever it's your new building now, in 30, 50 years, it will be demolished, and somebody will think 50 years, what are we doing now? What can we reuse from that building? And this is another way of thinking of the problem. I mean, it's not the cost, it's what it will be the impact and long-term impact. But of course, at the end, the cost is there. And we cannot say, I don't care, EU will pay for that and so on. So it's the balance between a lot of things we are trying to get into our buildings and to see what will be the result on long term. So BIM, that building, the same binarium, the project was done in 2017. Yeah, that was the project that was done in Revit with all the conflicts solved and so on. So it was finalized in 2019. So, well, they've never learned in high school how to do BIM on that time. They just simply thought that it's a long-term strategy to work on BIM, because it's not easy for a company to move to BIM. It takes a longer time, and then it's difficult to find a proper specialist on this area, because they were not till you develop your BIM master. But before that, that was quite a struggle. But now the same company which has done this binarium is working for Robert Bosch company, doing the projects all over, and also for Google, because Google now is doing some server, well, some in the north, in Luleå, in Sweden. And then all the project it's done in BIM, and that's the nightmare of the people who are contracting this kind of projects. Why? They come with a 3D laser, install it inside and said, well, this is not well mounted. It should be 10 centimeters higher than it's in reality. And all the people say, oh no, this is a nightmare. You never thought you will work in such a premises with a 3D scanner and everything should be plus minus, I don't know, 4 centimeters allowed for Google servers or Facebook, I don't know. But it's still, this is the future, and this is what you are as students trying to do, and to solve these aspects, and because you have a lot of tools, but in a way, when I've looked at so many softwares and tools, I mean, oh, this is impressive. I mean, in a way, it's too many. It should be less and more powerful, but this is the problem. So one of the problems we are trying to solve, and this is again publicity for my my master. I'm the coordinator of the master, so sorry. It's because we are moving above the building. Okay, building will be solved, but as a energy system, it's the city who's now the main problem when you're thinking on a large scale. How you'll solve this regenerative, and we'll get to that, what it's meaning. And we started with the support of the Swiss embassy. You never heard about European Energy Award. It's a system which try to make an assessment of the city. So we are not interested anymore in building. We are on the city level, which is the highest level, and try to compare city. Oh, this is becoming even more complicated. It's the system developed by Swiss. That's why it's the Swiss embassy here, because some clerks from municipality in Switzerland try thinking how the hell we can compare two cities. And they develop a system where they have 79 measures, and they try to compare one city like Cartagena with Cluj, with Otfold, and so on, which is not very easy. So again, it's a solution which didn't came from universities. It came from people working in real environment and trying to solve real problems. Because EU has another system trying like covenant of mayors, but for the countries from the so-called DACH area, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, they don't agree with that system. So they have this European Energy Award, which they are trying to push, and it's a good one because it's back to basics. And of course, the Romania Green Building Council, and we couldn't have a better moment, because we are talking about new Green Deal, and we are talking about 100 cities decarbonized. We still don't get it, what it's decarbonized. I'm not sure about what is the exact meaning of decarbonized, but it's a nice, it's a buzzword way, and if you use it, everybody will be happy and smile, and it's the promised land. Yeah, everybody will be happy, and no more worries and so on. As usually, when you solve a problem, you create 10 more problems. But yeah, let's be optimistic. It will go smooth and so on. But the problem is that we don't have experts, neither in 100 and what is a decarbonized or zero carbon and smart city. We never seen it. I mean, we don't have an example saying, wow, this is great. Let's take it an example. I know Barcelona tried to be a smart city, but it's still struggling. It's a never-ending probably job. So it's the topic we are talking now. So it's hard to create these experts, but we try to mix in, because it's engineer. We don't know who will be in charge. The engineers, the architect, depending who you are asking. Sometimes will be other specialists. And again, it's the difficulty. And on the other hand, it's easy because you don't have an example and a good one. Because the easiest way to do a master is just to copy a good one and have it on your country, and then everything will be easy. But if you're trying something new, you can't be wrong, because nobody knows the answer, so we will struggle to get. And of course, it's in English, because if you are part of EUT+, how can students come to Romania without knowing perfect Romanian and so on? So we are doing in English. It's a difficulty also for professors. So that's why we say we are working with students to find a solution. What are we learning? It's about, okay, we are from building services, so I need to make happy some of my colleagues. So of course it's HVAC, it's advanced architecture. It's always hard to convince students how to work, students from the engineering studies, how to work with architects, and how important it is to solve these problems with architects. Then circular economy. Yeah, again, a difficult topic. And of course, from the beginning, it's BIM, because, okay, we cannot think about future cities without BIM. And difficult topic now, and nearly zero buildings, because we have new regulations, and I still don't see proper nearly zero buildings in our country. So usually it's the state, it's the government who's doing the first buildings, nearly zero buildings. And then they ask for the private companies to come and see, please, look, it is possible. That's the model, and please do it like this. In Romania, it's the reverse. It's the private companies who are doing very advanced buildings, and it's the state who's doing only the regulation, and they still use old buildings. So, yeah, we have this difficulty. And, yeah, human-centric lighting. Sorry, I'm from lighting. My background is lighting, so they need to learn about lighting, because lighting is a topic which usually push the boundaries a little bit. But okay, building and city assessment, because if I need LCA, I need for building and city assessment. So large calculation and comparing solution. The good news, it's for companies who's doing design, because the design now costs more. Why it costs more? Because you need to compare several solutions. Why, if I'm using for the new building wood? Why can I compare with a concrete solution? Yes, I can do it. So, yeah, and one important aspect, retrofit solutions, because this building exists. We don't want to tear it down and build another one. We want to consume less, and how to do it? By keeping, because that I'm also struggling in my home country. You need to keep the comfort. I mean, we have done so many years, so many efforts for the comfort of the people, and then we cannot say I will save energy. And about the people comfort, I don't care, because we have a better use of energy. So I have problems with that, and how that's the difficult solution and balance. And of course, life cycle analysis and so on, because LCA is becoming more and more powerful, but we don't have too many experts. Well, for instance, we have now an Erasmus key action with Slovak University and Ukrainian University and Alicante University, trying to make specialists on life cycle analysis, because I haven't heard when I was as a student. Okay, there was so much time long that we didn't learn a lot of things, but again, in indoor environment, quality and well-being. It cannot be a green building if people are not happy. I wouldn't say happy. I think well-being, feeling well in a space, it's so important. And how to do it, it's again a problem of how to get connected to nature, because it's a beautiful nature outside, and why we are staying inside, it's always a tricky question. And energy analysis of a building and a city, and also a question of ethics and academic integrity. There's always a debate about how we can solve some problems without creating other problems, about ethical issues. And yeah, as engineers, we tend to not look at these aspects. But there are so many inequities in the world that sometimes, well, This we are trying to sort it out. Okay, I'll try to finish by 1 o'clock. I'm yeah trying to okay, and then third semesters, yeah, urban network. Think about some aspects. Uh, a school like this will not be used for 3 months in a year. Normally, if you are having a lot of renewable in a building, you will try to use all this energy either for cooling or heating. But for 3 months, you don't. And plus, you have Saturday and Sunday when probably no one is here. So one of the biggest challenge now is to have positive energy district. Before having this zero carbon city, the dream one, you will need to have a positive energy district. And positive energy district, I don't know how you will create cooling and heating in one place, how you can sell it. If I want to sell to my neighbor heat or cool today in Europe, it's very difficult. Or energy, electric energy. It's so complicated because it's not easy. I mean, I don't have the legal framework to do this. I have energy, I want to give it to my, sorry, you're not allowed. You can give it for free. Okay, thank you. Other solution. So, other aspects so important for you as student, communication skills. You need to convince people. Not everyone is happy about what is happening now. Not because there's so many changes and yeah, so communication skill, especially for engineers who are not famous for being very communicative and easy speaking and yeah, that's an issue. Yeah, and then of course renewable energy sources and management tools and so on. And then there are some options. So I make the advocacy for my master, and I will wait because I'm looking for students and also for cooperation with professor, because you can imagine I don't have the experts on all these areas, which are a little bit yeah difficult for the moment for professors, and sometimes for some aspects it's easy to bring from outside specialists that from universities. Yeah, because there are a lot of practical aspects. Try to imagine all these problems like urban electric infrastructure with all these new electric cars, not only electric cars, but electric buses. Okay, so the problem is so complicated, or with control systems for smart homes and cities, and what you can do, and what it's greenwashing. You know what is greenwashing? Okay, so there's a lot of bullshit in these problems with people. Sometimes when I have sustainable green and so on, okay, so it's because you're selling things that are not reachable. It's like I'm selling you a smartphone or a computer which will make your life easy. It's not easy life with a computer and smartphone, and it's never ending story. We are always selling dreams, and sometimes this is the problems with green buildings. We are selling dreams and not always reachable, but it's your job to make it and try to find the difference, which is possible and which is not possible. Okay, I will end my presentation, and well, we'll keep in touch for Thursday when you'll have one click install, yes, and you'll be fresh for trying to compare solution. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Just like we had these green buildings. I mean, like, do we have like, any criteria called them a green building in Birka?
I mean, it's not green building because I go there and I put a label, this is green. Okay, yeah. I mean, LEED or BREEAM, it's a system where you need to prove that a lot of things like I have less than 500 meters to public transport. I need to prove it. It's 500 meters. So no, it's not only stories or yeah. So sometimes you're a little bit a clerk as an assessor. You need to just to prove this and that and collect data, asking for data. And you'll see how difficult it is sometimes to obtain data, because when you'll ask a contractor, where's your concrete coming from? What's the problem for you? Where is that? Don't worry, it's cheapest. I know, I want to know where it comes, how it traveled to the site and so on. So at the beginning, it's a lot of, yeah. And then you need that proof. So it's a lot of paper and it costs money because LEED and BREEAM, it's not for free. They are not, I don't know, Oxfam or they are making money. This is also an issue. Is it correct to make money, but ask one click how much it cost the software for one click? But of course, they need to pay the people who make the software, who make the assessment, and so on. For BREEAM, it was a solution to survive as a building research establishment. They were privatized by Thatcher.
So mandatory is never going to be happening.
No, and the EU tried to have the level system, but yeah, it's nice.
Until we can make it like as money, the company they never understand it. Like maybe like big companies like the one who like responsible,
yeah. And you know, it's the EU taxonomy. Have you heard the taxonomy? Yeah. Where's the money going from the banks and so on? So at least they need to have a very green image about how they invest and how they care about the nature and so on. So yeah, I mean, the system, it's clear, it exists, but how you can cheat the system, it's another story. But don't imagine that I'm from East Europe, and the first things people will try to think is how you can double cross. Do we need? Surely we need to do this, and yes, you need. But it's also a survival problem. Imagine that all the developers there's a lot of equity properties. I mean, they have a lot of buildings. And now their big problem is, which are the buildings that will stand for another 20 years without huge investment, and which will need a lot of investment? Imagine a building like this when you need double glazing, insulation. I mean, sorry, not that our building ourselves, but I was thinking about if I was a city council, thinking about all these schools, universities, hospitals that need a lot of investment in order to be NZEB, nearly zero building or green building. So it's a huge investment. But for a city council, it's so difficult to say, this will cost too much, I will sell it, or I will turn it down and do another. But for company, it is possible, or they are selling just, yeah, because that's their problems. A lot of buildings of these new shiny glass steel windows, they are not suitable for retrofit or, yeah, for the real nearly zero consumption. So that's their problems, not only their problems. Yeah. So don't bet on projects like Masdar City or, yeah, you never heard about Masdar project or NEOM. Well, okay. just check. There were supposed to be very smart cities and so on. Then you never heard about. There's a lot of money which are in sand in the middle of the desert, having a smart city in the middle of the desert. Yeah. So if you want to provoke me, you can ask me question and I will be happy to answer. Not always the good answer or what you expect, because I'm between. I'm also associate professor, but I also work with a company. So I speak also the language of the companies. Yeah.